Alrighty guys, there was the last one. And you can see it's still, hopefully y'all can see that, right about middle ways of the cantilever, right where we wanted it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take out our bullet seating die. For these little one-on-one reloading sessions where I'm just loading one round at a time and not trying to go for speed, I absolutely love this little Lee. This thing is tough as nails. I've loaded big stuff on it. I've loaded 30-06 on it, 45-70, 7mm Magnum. Now the Magnum rounds, you kind of have to fidget the bullet in there. You ain't got a whole lot of space. I never tried a 300 Weatherby and it may not fit, to be honest. I never tried it, but now everything I've used this for, and I've put some stress on it, man. I've put a lot of pressure on it. I've heard people say these wasn't worth buying. I give like 35 bucks for this thing, brand new from Lee, about 2 years ago when it first come out, however long that's been. And I've used the time out of this thing. I really like it. But anyway, let's get to crimp dies. Yeah. Some guys will say, I don't like to crimp. You know, that I just try not to open my mouth flare up too much after I full length resized, and that way I'm not working my brass too much, and I don't worry about it. Now in smaller calibers, it may be okay, you know, but me myself personally, I crimp everything. 9mm, 45 ACP, 38, 357, 223, all of them. 240, 243, 30-06, anything I do, I crimp it. And I think it should be done that. It gets your pressures back to where they're supposed to be when you're shooting a gun, and I think that makes a big, big difference in what you need to do. So now I'm going to get the camera moved around just a little bit, and we're going to set up this crimp die, and we'll get to crimping these cases, and y'all be on your way. Alright guys, we're going to set up this crimp die and get these cases crimped real quick and get you on your way. Now the manufacturer paperwork that comes from Lee tells you to screw the factory crimp die in till it touches the shell holder, plus 1/2 more turn. I always thought that was fascinating the way they wrote this, because the other stuff it tells you to lower the ram, then turn it in 1/2 turn or 1/4 turn. This doesn't say that. It says to adjust it, to screw in the factory crimp die in to touch the shell holder, plus 1/2 turn. Without letting the ram down, you ain't getting another 1/2 turn. And it's weird that they don't tell you that, but maybe whoever was writing this particular part of it was the one guy that works there that writes this stuff that thought, surely to God, these people know you got to let the ram down to turn it in 1/2 turn. Maybe. Okay. Anyway, so we're going to raise our ram. And this is a collet die, by the way, so that means it's got 4 little fingers in there that squeeze the case. Now I'm touching the shell holder, and again you got one of these deals where there's not a mark on these, and I think they should put like a dimple on them or something from the factory, so that you know your start and stop point when you go to do these 1/2 or 1/4 or 1/3 turns, but they don't. So what I do is I put on these, I put, if it's got the nut shaped retention nut, retention ring, I put my finger on it so I know which one I need to bring to this side. So now I'm going to lower the ram, and I'm going to bring this around till that one's right where it needs to be. Then I'm going to raise this up to hold it in place, and I'm going to tighten up my retention ring. Now, theoretically, I should be right where I need to be for a light crimp. Now you can go a harder crimp, but what you need to do is you got to look down inside of here at these fingers and make sure that once they go, if they go all the way together and touch each other, that's as far as the crimp can go. And if you try to go any farther, it tells you in there you'll damage your die and maybe break your press, depending on what kind of press you're using and what kind of force it applies. But you don't need that much. So now I'm going to watch. It didn't go in very much, but we're going to take a look at it. I'm going to go in another 1/3 of a turn, and that's probably going to do me. Let's see what this does. That's about half of the crimp that it can apply right there. Now what I like to do is, I do it and then I turn it. And I like to do a case 3 times. Now let's pull it out and see what it looks like. It could really still stand a wee bit more. But I think we're going to be good right there. That's got a pretty good crimp on it. I like the way that looks. It's got everything straightened out good. I think we'll be just fine right there. Real quick, let's measure one of these that hasn't been crimped yet. About 276.5 to 277. That's 0.2765 to 0.277. Well, let's see what we, because you're going to get spring back on this brass. It doesn't close it up a great deal. Yeah, 0.2745 to 0.275. Get that in there for you. Even as I turn the case. So it closes it up about 2.5 to 3 thousandths is all, and that's, I'm right now not a lot, not right at maximum crimp, pretty close. All right, let's do a couple more here. Seat it in there. Go up. Turn it just a touch. Go up. Turn it just a touch more. Go up. That's what I like to do, is I like to do them 3 times. That gets you a pretty decent. Now the actual factory crimp, I would say, is you would adjust this until it closed those collets completely up. I'm not sure. I've not seen anything written to that exact thing, but I would almost bet you that's what it would be. That if, because these are supposed to be same as factory crimps, and if you do it that way, I'd almost bet you'll get exactly the same neck tension as they do in the factory. But now you can feel it each time I go up in this die. I can feel those collets squeezing, so it's putting pretty good crimp on it. But that's all there is to it, guys. Now we have went all the way through this, and we finally got to the fun part. Now I want to get to take these to the range and see what kind of accuracy I can get out of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about 4 or 5 factory rounds with me when I go, and shoot those for a base, just to see where the gun's sighted in at, because make sure it's on paper and I know where I'm going to be hitting generally, because I'm not going for accuracy right now. That sounds weird, but I'm not. What I'm going for is groupings. I want to see one that I'm going to shoot 5 shots, then I'm going to let the barrel cool off. Then I'm going to shoot the other 5 shots, then I'm going to let the barrel cool off. And then I'll shoot the last 5 shots. But I want to start them from a cold barrel. And that way it gives each one of these powder charges the equal amount of being, I don't know how would be the best way to say it. That way I'll give each one of these powder charges equal starting point. So one's not shooting through a barrel that's real hot and the other one's shooting through a barrel that was cold. So I'll shoot 5, probably just sit and let the barrel cool off for 45 minutes or an hour in the shade at the range, and then shoot the next 5. And stuff like this is so interesting to me. Most people, they get a rifle, especially a deer rifle, they throw a scope on it, they go out in the backyard 50, 75 yards, put a pie plate up, shoot it a couple times, get in a pie plate, and that's it. They don't worry about it. But now myself personally, especially in these smaller calibers, you need to make sure that you've got yourself set up to where shot placement is your #1 priority. You know, this is a big 300 Winchester Magnum. I mean, you could shoot him in his tail and his head will fly off. It wouldn't make a whole lot of difference. But with these 243s, it's a small round. You don't got a lot of room for error, and you need to get every ounce of the energy that's going to be downrange when it impacts that target to be in a place that'll do the most amount of damage. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these crimped down, and the next time you see us talking about 243s, I'll have a little pink rifle in my hand. I don't know why she chose pink camouflage, but maybe she figures the deers will like it. I don't know. It's going to hunt does. Alright, anyway, I'm going to get these rest crimped. Guys, I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate you subscribing to the channel and supporting us. Appreciate your comments and discussions. Feel free to ask anything you want to ask. You ain't going to hurt my feelings, and we all may get a good joke out of it, because I'm not the smartest person in the world, and the answer I give make them be complete idiocy. Who knows? But I'm going to get these finished, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hey y'all, if you don't mind, click subscribe, and if you like the video, and click the like button, and we appreciate every one of y'all, and hope to see you in the next video. It's the Fat Man. I'm gone.